You may find it convenient to have your download folder as well as the Lumberyard folder open and handy nearby as we go through the installation of Lumberyard. Before running the installer, one last word of warning. Launch the installer, but do not begin the installation. For those of you who are not installing to the default location, for those of you who are not installing to the default location, click on Options. The install location listed is the default file path for where Lumberyard will be installed. And this is good to know, especially for everyone who is installing to the default location. If you use the default installation, you will be able to find your files at this location after you finish installing Lumberyard. And you'll need to know where to find them too, so take note of that. However, for those of us who are not installing to the default location, such as myself, I'm installing to my F drive, we need to set the installation location. So, for everyone installing somewhere else, browse to the location you are installing Lumberyard. For me, that would be my F drive, Programs, and Lumberyard. Be careful about the length of the file path. It is a known issue that the file path for your installation should not exceed 54 characters. This shouldn't be a problem for me. Now, if you forget to set the installation location, you may still be able to install the Lumberyard editor. I can install Lumberyard on my C drive. It's only about 10 gigabytes. And I have more than enough room on my SSD for that. However, I don't have enough space for everything else. So, if I try and install to my C drive, at some point I am going to run into a problem. I would most likely have to uninstall and reinstall everything, and that would be a real pain in the neck, and I would hate to see anyone make that mistake. That is a mistake you would probably only make once, but let's try and avoid learning that lesson the hard way. So for those of you who set your installation to a different location, after you're finished doing that, click OK. Now we should all be ready to begin the installation of Lumberyard. Alright, let's do it. Lumberyard successfully installed, and you may have noticed the creation of a few shortcuts on your desktop as it completed the installation. One of these is the Setup Assistant. This is what runs when you click on the Launch button. If you need to stop or close the installer window, you can do so. You can continue the installation later, or even update your install configuration at a later date by running the Setup Assistant. I'm going to close the Lumberyard setup window because there's one thing I want to do before I run the Setup Assistant. There are a few files we downloaded that we haven't installed yet. This is because the location where we need to place them didn't exist until after we installed Lumberyard. Now that we successfully installed Lumberyard, we can do this. Notice that inside my Lumberyard directory, I now have a version directory for Lumberyard 1.8. If we look in there, we will find a third-party folder where we will place additional software. Let's start with the Ffmpeg software. First, we will need to extract the file. So find the Ffmpeg file you downloaded and right-click on it. Select Extract All. Click on Extract. When that finishes, open the Ffmpeg folder that was created. Right-click on that folder in there that has the same name and select Cut. And then just paste that file right into the third-party directory that we opened. Next, let's create a folder where we can install the Fbx Sdk. New folder Fbx Sdk. There we go, that's set. Now we can find the Fbx installer for our version of Microsoft Visual Studio and install it to the folder we just created. So run that. You'll need to be careful to browse to the correct location. In my case, it's on the F drive. And programs, Lumberyard, third party, Fbx Sdk. There it is. All right. So that's where I'm installing. Now with that done, all we need to do is run the setup assistant, which I will do in the next video. See you there.